Guys, welcome back to Killing Kayfabe. Today we're going to start a brand new segment called Joe Watches. My co-host today is none other than Joe. Joe, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Now, Joe, how long have you been a wrestling fan?
For probably about 5 to 6 years.
What promotions do you typically watch in your spare time?
Really, just the WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
Okay, so you don't watch a lot of the outside stuff outside WWE. Do you watch any AEW?
No, not really.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do with this segment, guys. Joe has been a good friend of mine and Chris's for a while, and like he said, he's been a wrestling fan for several years. He's been to several events with myself. We've been to WrestleMania together. We've been to Survivor Series. We've been to a ton of live shows, and we're going to, as a group, expand Joe's horizons in the world of professional wrestling. He's going to watch things that he hasn't seen before. He's going to see new promotions. He's going to do this all with you listeners and all of us together. So today we're going to be watching, for his first time ever, the Montreal Screwjob. Joe, what do you know about the Montreal Screwjob?
All I know is that it has something to do with Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Bret Hart.
So you don't really know a damn thing about this, do you?
Not a damn thing.
Well, I mean, you have three of the people involved correct. I mean, there's more to it, which I'm going to kind of walk you through these things, and it's going to be like that for episodes going forward, too, is I'm going to walk you through them a little bit, so that way you kind of get the backstory, so you get everything kind of filled in together. Now, guys, if you want to watch along with us, which is what we're looking for, we want you guys to interact with us at the same time. So if we're making fun of something on the screen, you can kind of see what we're making fun of, or if we get confused, you guys can be confused right along with us. So go to your network and go to Survivor Series 97. You're going to go to 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 17 seconds into the pay-per-view. Now, when I say go, we're all going to push play. Joe, are you ready to push play?
I am.
Okay, so we're going to start this pay-per-view now. Go. All right, Joe. So, you see Shawn Michaels walking with the European title.
Yes.
You see a very young Triple H. Do you know who the woman is next to Shawn Michaels right now?
Yeah, that's China.
Oh, that's very good. Okay, so you know who China is. How about the man with the briefcase?
Not too sure.
That's Rick Rude. Rick Rude is very underrated, in my opinion, for what he did in his career. He had some fantastic feuds. He was a heat magnet, and I don't really ever think that he got the due that he deserved. Triple H and Shawn Michaels actually stated in an interview back in the day that Rick Rude really didn't have a whole lot going on right now in his career, so they kind of just said, hey, ride with us. That's kind of how this whole DX got involved with Rick Rude and everything.
Gotcha.
So, can you ever picture yourself wearing that outfit?
I cannot.
I think that's what you actually wore on your honeymoon. So, they're obviously in Canada, hence Montreal. And
Yes, I can hear him speaking French.
So, leading up to this point, there's been a lot of bad blood between Shawn and Bret. And he's done numerous bad, like right now he's rubbing his crotch with the Canadian flag.
With the Canadian flag.
He's blown his nose.
On the ground.
He's blown his nose with it leading up to this. Oh, he's doing it right now too. Yeah, shoving it up his nose. This isn't the only thing that Shawn Michaels ever shoved up his nose either.
Oh, that's bad.
But Shawn and Bret had some really bad blood leading into this. You know, he referenced sunny days, that Bret Hart was having many sunny days lately, saying that he was cheating on his wife with Sunny. And neither Sunny or Bret have ever said that was going on. Actually, Shawn was dating Sunny in between this time period. Well, not right now, but before this. There's Bret. Do you know who's walking with Bret in the background?
That's Kurt Angle.
Yeah, that's Kurt Angle. And who else is with him? Kurt Angle and who else?
It's another Hart brother.
Yep, that's the Hart brother. It's Jim Neidhart.
That's
And that's
Natalia's dad.
yes, that is Natalia's dad. You could
Yes.
definitely tell. You could definitely tell you started watching wrestling 5 years ago. You could definitely tell. Like, oh, that's Natalia's.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. That
is Natalia's dad.
what's his name?
That is Natalia's
That's
dad.
the British Bulldog.
There you go. Okay. Do you know his son's name?
British Puppy.
Yep, that's him. I actually met the British Puppy one time. I was at my college in Florida, and I was talking to my professor, and it just so happened that the British Puppy walked in, and his sister was actually applying to go there too. She didn't end up going there, but I was just kind of shocked to look out and say, "Oh, is that D.H. Smith over there?" Yes, D.H.
Yeah, that's his name.
D.H. is what he was called in WWE, by the way. Okay, so
D.H. Gotcha. So we got Bret Hart walking down to the ring.
Now understand, Bret Hart is a god in Canada. The Hart family is gods up there. I mean, you could just kind of see the difference with the crowd, the way they're. I mean, it's not just a normal crowd. My aunt actually has a pair of those Bret Hart sunglasses. That's terrible graphic. It's almost enough to give somebody a seizure with how close it was to the screen, the way it was moving.
Yes.
Like it was very fast and very up close and personal. Was that Sting in the crowd? I think there was a Sting in the crowd. So, obviously, like I said before, Bret and Shawn have a lot of bad blood at this point. And leading into this match, Bret has already signed a new contract with WCW, the rival promotion. You know what the company WCW is, correct?
Correct.
That sign says China is a man. I don't think they're right. So Bret signed a contract with rival WCW at this point, and he's looking at leaving the company. There's actually 4 weeks left of his deal at this point, so he was going to be leaving the company, and he does not want to drop the belt to that man, Shawn Michaels. That was the one person that he has openly stated backstage that he does not want to drop the belt to Shawn. He would be willing to drop it to Steve Austin, which at that point would have been Steve's first world title. And you also have to think who else is backstage at the time. Do you know who else was backstage at the time that could have been a very viable placeholder for a champion that Bret could have lost the belt to?
The Rock.
Nope, he was there, but he wasn't at that level yet.
I don't know.
You got the Undertaker.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably who I would have went with, either him or I would have either went with the Undertaker or Steve at this point. Stone Cold was really, really hot at this point. Hey, Earl Hebner before Vince McMahon wrote him off as dead. Yeah, there's definitely a Sting in that crowd. I wonder if Eric Bischoff sent him over. You don't see the type of in-ring work these days like these two are doing right now. Even the punches.
No, you don't.
Even the punches that they're laying in on each other right now, they look so good. That didn't look good.
No, it did not.
I kind of miss the ring like this, though. I kind of hate that whole LCD screen that they have around it now.
Yeah.
And I hate those poles. I mean, you might as well just LCD the whole ring mat, too, at this point. I hate it.
Yeah, sadly, nowadays, it's off the show.
Do you think Celine Dion agrees with that sign? Bret Hart, #1 Canadian?
No.
She might. See a fan just punch Shawn in the back? He's definitely he's helping Bret punch Shawn. Where did the other ref come from? I didn't see these other refs come.
Man, it's like a brawl.
Well, this was when wrestling was really good. I mean, when wrestling was really good. I mean, it was more. Everyone at this point knew that kayfabe was dead, but at the same time, it was still more believable. There's Vince McMahon.
This is part of the Attitude Era, right?
Yeah, this was kind of it wasn't the catalyst of the Attitude Era, but this is where a very big character was born. Probably one of the most influential of his time. You know who that bald guy is, Joe? In the suit?
It's
Sergeant.
I want to say I do, but
it's Sergeant Slaughter. Do you know how many world titles he won?
A lot.
No, well, one's more than I did, so it's a lot compared to me. I mean, that's a good way to generate heat too. I never really noticed that the fact that he was choking him out with the American flag. It's Pat Patterson and Gerald Briscoe. Gerald Briscoe actually just got fired after 36 years with the company. He also has these really big sideburns now. It's kind of funny because he probably had sideburns that size when he signed with the company 36 years ago.
Pat Patterson's that guy in that white and blue jacket, right?
Yes. Look at you. Do you know what Pat Patterson was the first of in the WWE? Do you know what record he holds, or one of the records he holds? He was the first Intercontinental Champion, Joe. I don't think I've seen this many refs out in a very long time. There's 4 of them there. I thought one walked the other way, which would have made 5.
Yeah, there is 5.
Yeah, there's 5. See, he didn't go after Briscoe because he knows Briscoe's a shooter. They actually said that I heard Jim Cornette mention before that the night before this, or I don't know if it was the night before or a few nights before, but Vince actually sent Briscoe to teach Shawn a few things in his hotel room leading up to this match, like a few shooting moves. You know, it's a shame that like 2 years, 3 years after this, Goldberg would kick Bret Hart's head off. Because I'm not the biggest Bret Hart fan, but I cannot... I'm not the biggest Bret Hart fan, but I cannot say anything negative about his in-ring work. His match just feels weird with having all these officials following them everywhere, and Vince following them everywhere, and Patterson and Briscoe everywhere.
Yeah, I will say it's definitely not like that today.
I do miss these custom stages and these custom, Trons and everything. I wish that we can go back to that instead of just putting a new graphic up.
That would be nice.
I used to like the old Judgment Day sets. Dude, Shawn oversells so bad. Why did he pick the cord up? He's just trying to give him a drink. Somebody threw something. Oh, what flag is that? Joe, what flag is that? I'm pretty sure that is the flag for Montreal. So the match just started. The bell just rang.
This whole time I was thinking that the match was going on.
No, the bell just rang. I heard it on your television. I'm not going to lie. It's the only reason that I realized it because I forgot that it didn't ring until now.
I will say, if this was me versus somebody else and the bell just rung right now, I would probably tap out.
If you were Shawn? Or if you were Brett? Or who?
Just in general. Like, I'm saying, if I was in a match like this and we were going at it, for some time and then they just rang the bell.
Yeah.
I would probably I would tap out.
Well, it's, today you see only matches like this in Raw Underground. And it's pretty bad because Raw Underground is terrible. But it's the truth is that you only see a decent match on WWE television on Raw Underground, and that's because they actually use legitimate wrestling moves in there. And, the physicality is way higher on Raw Underground compared to a Raw or a SmackDown or an NXT. Like the regular shows. The Raw Underground, at least, is very physical. I don't like Raw Underground.
I don't like it either. I think it's
not very entertaining, but I will say from a wrestling standpoint, it's pretty good. I like watching Dolph Ziggler on it. Oh, looks like Brett cut his finger. See, at this point today, the ref would be putting gloves on.
Yes, because there's blood.
Yeah. God forbid. It's weird, too, that you would think that you see that now, whereas back in the day with the AIDS epidemic and everything, you didn't have them putting gloves on then.
Nope.
See, that's one thing that Shawn did really good in this match, is just really piss off the fans.
The crowd.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see that. You don't see a lot of guys do that very well today. And maybe that's just because Shawn had such a reputation back then as just not caring and not giving a damn about anything because of his, his issues and just, the way that he saw himself. I just don't think that people had a very, well, I mean, at least I can say that from what I've heard, a lot of love lost for Shawn backstage. But, it's kind of where he gets off, too, because that's what made him such a believer. Like, he just spit on a fan. You're not going to see that today.
Oh, no. That's cool. I do like that. The black steel stairs.
Yeah. I like
opposed to the silver.
I like the barricade more like this, too. It gives it more of an actual, almost like a hostile environment feel compared to these terrible ones today that are just padded. I mean, they're safer, but I just don't think it has as nice of a visual effect. I mean, next week Vince will probably have LCD screens on those too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he'll find a way to market those some way or another. There'll be Subway graphics on them next week or something. It'll just be one sandwich throughout the entire LCD enclosure of the barricade. So, like, the hard cam is just like one 20-foot sub.
That would be pretty, interesting.
That looked really bad. It looked like he wanted to hit Brett. Instead, at the last second, he decided to put him into a headlock. So, do you know who this referee is?
No.
His name's Earl Hebner. He's actually been, from what they say online, is blackballed from working for the WWE anymore because he and a partner were selling bootleg knockoff merchandise. And Vince wasn't very happy about that, so he's no longer allowed anywhere near the company. He claims that it wasn't to that extent, but in all fairness,
that had to have hurt.
You really got to do something to really kind of piss Vince McMahon off to the point where he just blackballs you. Because, I mean, after everything that a lot of these people have done, like Hulk Hogan doing what he did and Vince welcomed him back with open arms after a few years and everything, like, you really have to do something pretty despicable in Vince's eyes. Because for most people, what Hogan did is more than enough to say, hey, I'm done with you. I'm not working with you anymore. I want to be nowhere near you because of what you've done and what you've said and how despicable it is. But he still welcomed him back with open arms. But if Earl Hebner sells some bootleg merchandise, that's enough to blackball him for the rest of his life. I always like this combination that Shawn does. You see, I think most people would have been really okay with it if Brett would have stole it right there. I mean, I'm not even talking about the Canadian fans because they just want Brett to win anyway. But I think for the most part, any fan at home watching this would have been okay with Brett winning with that quick little rollover he did there.
Yeah.
Dude, I miss the announce tables all being there like that. That actually looked like tables and not like these breakaway tables that they have now. Like, these were breakaway tables too,
Yeah.
where they look more legitimate than the crap that we get today. I also miss Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler together. So, do you know what Bret Hart's finishing move is, Joe? Think about it. It's called a sharpshooter.
Thank you.
There you go. You're welcome. You know what the sharpshooter is, right?
He puts you in that move right there.
It's close, yeah. I mean, that's a figure four, but let me put it like this.
Well, the sharpshooter has to do with
the legs,
bending your leg.
Okay, so if I said it to you like this, Joe, that submission move that The Rock does to your legs, do you know what it looks like?
No.
The sharpshooter? No? Okay. Well, you just don't know that. That's okay. I just kind of figured, like, that you might have seen The Rock use it because The Rock started using it, not at this point in his career, a few years after this. Like, right at this point, I mean, The Rock just got rid of that terrible Pineapple Willie haircut.
Which wrestler nowadays uses it?
What, the Pineapple Willie?
No, the sharpshooter.
Oh, Yeah, it's no.
That wasn't it.
It's no.
That was an oversell.
It's no surprise Sean had back problems.
Oh no,
Dude, Sting is in the crowd right there. Do you see him?
I didn't.
Dude, he's gonna jump in, and he that's what the Montreal Screwjob is. Is Sting comes in from the crowd right here, and he just takes the belt to WCW with him. I hate to spoil it for you. Dude, Brett has just been on top of Sean this whole match. Turnbuckle's about to fall off, it looks like.
Oh no, he hit the ref.
He didn't even touch the ref. Earl Hebner was taking lessons from Sean backstage on how to take a bump. Did you see that? He didn't even touch Hebner. He reached around Hebner and hit Sean, and Hebner flew backwards. Oh, not the thumb to the eye. So now Sean's stepping in. This is the sharpshooter, Joe. Alright, so there's the bell.
The sharpshooter. Charlotte Flair does it.
She's a figure 8, Joe. Alright, so the match just ended. The match just ended. Brett just spit in the face of Vince. So did you understand what just happened there?
Yeah, Shawn Michaels beat Bret Hart in Canada.
But Brett never tapped.
No.
The ref just rang the bell. See, now, Brett spit in the face of Vince because Vince instructed Hebner to ring the bell. Basically what happened there, Joe, is Brett was leaving the company. Backstage, Vince was persuaded by... and everyone has a different story of this. Jim Cornette claims that he had a hand in saying, screw him over, keep the belt here. Vince Russo claims that he had a hand in saying the exact same thing. Triple H has gone on record of saying that him and Shawn basically said, you know what, screw him. He doesn't want to do business. Then we'll do business for him. Now, the thing that people need to remember, too, is that Brett had 4 weeks left on his contract. So he could have dropped the belt at any point during those 4 weeks. And he even offered to drop it the next night. Just not in Montreal on the pay-per-view. He was not willing to do that, especially to Shawn. So they went ahead and took business into their own hands. And by them doing that, kind of changed the course of everything, because this was the first time you really saw Vince, not the first, but the biggest moment leading up until this point of Vince McMahon stepping out and showing that he is the owner of this company. So going forward, that was actually the birth of the Vince McMahon character. The evil Vince McMahon boss character that had that huge feud with Stone Cold for all those years and everything. This was kind of the birth of that, because after this, he comes out and claims, Brett screwed Brett. Brett didn't want to do business. We did business for Brett. And when they go backstage after Brett destroys a bunch of monitors and stuff like that, he goes backstage and Vince goes to confront him, and Brett confronts Shawn, and Shawn Michaels says, no, I had no idea, lying, saying I had no idea about that this was going to happen. I had no part of this. Vince goes to confront Brett, and Brett says, if you're not out of this room, after I get out of my shower, I'm going to punch you in the face. And Vince wouldn't leave the room, so Brett went and showered, got dressed, turned around, punched Vince in the face, and left. So he had 4 weeks left on his deal. And, they could have dropped it at any point, but they chose Montreal. The one place he didn't want to drop it, to the one man he didn't want to drop it to. I feel like it was definitely the wrong move on Vince's part, but I also feel at the same time it was extremely unprofessional of Brett to just do the job. Just do the business. It doesn't matter what happens after you leave. You're not going to be there anymore anyway. Just drop the belt, move on. He didn't do that. He didn't want to do that. Because obviously, once you're gone, Vince gets to choose who the man is going forward, because it's his company. And he wants it to be Shawn. So just do the job, or do business, and go and take your new contract and live your life. Maybe they shouldn't have done it 4 weeks before his deal ended, though. Maybe they should have done the right thing and just said, hey, we're coming down to the end. Let's work something out over this next month. But instead, they gave him the middle finger at the same time and made him lose it in Montreal. You know, they go on record, many guys have gone on record after this of saying, you know, I believe right around that time with this happening, Rick Rude, as you saw in the beginning, didn't come back. He just said, I'm not working here anymore after them doing that to Brett. You had Mick Foley the next night wouldn't show up to the tapings. He did not want to go into the tapings and everything. You know, Undertaker the next night, apparently, according to Sean, when he got to the Raw tapings that night, Undertaker was already in a meeting with Vince, and when he left the meeting with Vince, and that was the one man that Sean said he was worried about backstage, is how Undertaker was going to react to this. And Undertaker, according to Sean, left the room with Vince and walked up to Sean and said, we're cool, and just kept walking. So he kind of got the nod of approval from Taker at the same time. So this was kind of the catalyst of a lot of things moving forward. You got Sean being cemented as the champion. You got Brett leaving and going to WCW to have a terrible career there. You see the birth of the Vince McMahon character. You saw this was the catalyst for a lot of things going forward, and this was probably the biggest turn in the Attitude Era because it just created so many new directions for all of these different characters going forward that there was never really any turning back.
Yeah. I just think that, you know, with this whole match, I think, to piggyback off of what you were saying, I think that this is really where the Attitude Era started taking off. I feel like Vince taking the title off of Bret Hart in Montreal, you know, there was a lot of bad blood, not just between Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, but with other people, like you said. Rick Rude didn't want to be there anymore.
It created a lot of issues, and even I don't know if you've seen the Dark Side of the you probably haven't Dark Side of the Ring show. There's a Dark Side. There's a Dark Side of the Ring episode. It's an excellent show, and Eric Bischoff I think it was Eric Bischoff who even said in it, you know, there's a lot of things in your life that you remember, like where you were when they happened. Like, you know, a lot of people could sit there and say, I remember where I was when 9/11 happened, you know, and
yeah,
they said that they remember exactly where they were when the Screwjob happened because it was such a turning point in the history, especially
of wrestling.
Yeah, of wrestling. I mean, there was other Screwjobs back in the days, and it's happened a lot, but I don't think there was ever one, at least on the scale that this one was, especially with the results that happened afterwards. Like I said, this put a lot of moving parts into motion going forward from here. Sadly for Brett, it didn't turn out as well as it should have. I mean, you look at Shawn by the spring of '98 at the next WrestleMania, he's done too because he breaks his back against Taker at Royal Rumble. So Shawn only has a few months left after this too. So the people that you have moving forward from here are Taker, Stone Cold, Vince McMahon, Mankind. You know, you see The Rock really elevate himself after this. So going from here,
Triple H.
Yeah, you got Triple H. You know, you see a lot of guys that became household names through the Attitude Era and today are looked at as household names even now. Immediately after this happened, you can ask a non-wrestling fan who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, and they're going to know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. You're not going to be able to ask a non-wrestling fan who Shawn Michaels is. They're probably not going to know who Shawn Michaels is. They're probably not going to know who Bret Hart is. But you're going to ask a non-wrestling fan who The Rock is, and they're going to say, oh, he's that movie star, but didn't he used to wrestle too? They're going to know who these guys are moving forward.
Yeah, you know, I feel like with this whole, you know, Montreal Screwjob, I feel like because, you know, if it didn't happen, you know, where would Triple H be today? Where would, you know, Triple H today he might be, the COO, like he was, but like, like you can't really guarantee set in stone for a lot of motions going forward.
Well, I don't even know if it was just the match that put like other guys set their motions forward. I think it's more that this was kind of the death of a certain time period. Because like I said, after this you got Brett leaving. In a few months, Shawn is done too because of his injury. So now you have to rely on the guys that have been there through the last several years before this. And then you really got to take the guys that are ready to be moved up and catapult them to where they haven't been yet. Stone Cold at this point was a main eventer. It's just he wasn't at that height that he was by the spring of next year yet. The Rock catapults from around this time period going forward. The Undertaker has always been, since he's been in the company, a huge dominant figure, but you see a resurgence in his career from about this point going forward too. Mankind, huge over the next couple years. Triple H, from the time that Shawn gets injured and is out, Triple H elevates himself from the night after that WrestleMania, and from the next night after that, he elevates himself into main event status going forward from there. So from here, I think the main thing that really elevated Triple H behind the scenes would have been that he proved to Vince that he was a team player, because Brett wasn't being one. But I think that it could have been handled in a lot better way than what they did, because they definitely did this to stick it to Brett. And I'm not the biggest Bret Hart fan. I do not discredit his in-ring work. I just think that from the things I've heard Bret say and the things I've watched, that Bret is a very bitter person for his entire career. And don't get me wrong, the man has had a lot of tragedies in his life too. He's had things he had his career pretty much taken from him at a very young age because of Goldberg. But he is very bitter in everything he states. He wants to sit there and say, Eric Bischoff didn't know how to use him in WCW. But, he has a voice too, and at the end of the day, he didn't opt in to use that voice to catapult himself into a different status than what he was in WCW. He could have changed that like he did in WWE. He used his voice and he used his matches. It's almost like he checked out in WCW compared to here. I think that's enough for today. We're going to sign off here. Guys, make sure to check us out online. Check us out on YouTube, you guys. Check us out on Anchor Podcast, Breaker Podcast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify. So anywhere you guys can pretty much listen to a podcast, we are now on. So guys, go ahead, check us out. Facebook.com/Killing Kayfabe. Check us out on Twitter, at Kayfabe Killing. Guys, this has been fun. Next time we're going to check out a different match that Joe hasn't seen yet. I don't know if it's going to be WWE. I might introduce you to a different brand. Maybe something that you really haven't seen before. Maybe two guys you really haven't even know much about. Because at least you've heard of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe next time I'll really throw you for a loop and you'll have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Sounds good to me.
Alright, guys. Thanks for checking us out. And keep an eye out for when our next episode drops.